Hello and welcome to Garage Football. We're going to review West Ham's 2017-2018 season. A very interesting season in more ways than one. Today I'm joined by Holly Worthington, who has been on the West Ham Way, the official West Ham website, and is a prolific tweeter. Holly, thanks very much for joining us. Well, West Ham's season just gone. How could you sum it up?
What a season. It's been dramatic. I don't think I've ever been so stressed and so happy and so sad all so many times in one season.
Yeah.
There's been a lot of highs, a lot of lows, a lot to discuss, definitely.
Yeah, definitely, yeah. It's been highs and lows. Some players have played well, some haven't.
Yeah.
We've scored goals, conceded a lot as well, and it's been pitch invasions and all sorts. So there's a lot.
Took up rugby.
Yeah, there's a lot to get through. So we'll start off with the summer. So pre-season, I think myself and a lot of West Ham fans were pretty optimistic because of the signings we made.
Yeah.
We got Joe Hart in on loan from Man City. We bought Pablo Zabaleta from Man City on a free. Javier Hernandez bought for like 16 million, which is quite a bargain especially in the market at this time, and our big money signing Marko Arnautovic from Stoke, so it seemed pretty optimistic to start with.
I mean, Zabaleta I thought was a brilliant piece of business, obviously on a free, reliable, he's played at a good club, we knew that he was capable. Hart I was very optimistic about. I know the reactions were quite mixed, but I thought that he was going to be good. Obviously Randolph hadn't shown up for us, and I thought this could be the start of obviously a solid keeper, was what I'd hoped. Hernandez was a great name, and I knew that he'd do well as a poacher. And Arnautovic at the time, I didn't know an enormous amount about him before he signed for us. Obviously he didn't go off to a flying start necessarily, but again he was another player that I was excited to see what he was capable of, and it seemed that we'd made some solid signings that were promising.
Well, as you say, that's exactly right, promising, but that was it. There was none other business coming in. It was more getting rid of players. So we got rid of Faguli, who had a mixed season, but I would have kept in. Havant Norvite, our defensive midfielder. We sold him again. I would have kept him because he was played out of position all the time, pretty much. In his only season with us, so we were left with a fairly thin squad if injuries did occur, which they always do at West Ham.
We'll always get some injuries.
No matter who we bring in, they always seem to pick up a ridiculous amount of injuries. So
I would have liked to have seen more come in. For the amount that we lost, I would have wanted to have seen more, just so we have more options as well for different formations, for creativity, and obviously for injuries. It's so important to have backups.
Yeah, definitely.
But I was reasonably positive after the transfer window.
Yeah, I thought we'd have a better season than our first season at the London Stadium, because although we finished 11th, that did flatter us because we were struggling in the bottom half for the majority of that season. But I thought it'd be a more comfortable season. Turned out to be the complete opposite.
Especially because we thought we'd have got rid of all the teething problems that had obviously cropped up with the new stadium.
Exactly, yeah.
We'd hoped that the second season would obviously run more smoothly.
Yeah, we brought in some good quality players on paper, so you thought it would be
here we go.
better rather than the rubbish that we did sign, like Torre and Zaza and all that. I thought those days were behind us, but the struggles unfortunately continued.
They continued.
So our first game was Man United away. It's always a difficult game, but we lost 4-0. And unfortunately that was a sign of things to come, wasn't it?
It was. At the time I was thinking, obviously we had the 3 away games to start, and I thought they're going to be difficult, but hopefully we'll get them out of the way even if the results aren't that positive. But my main concern was obviously conceding 4. It knocks your confidence right from the beginning of the season, and it's just not the ideal start. When we all wanted to kind of be excited about the new season, for that to happen, bit of a kick in the teeth from the very beginning.
Well, watching that game, it was this live Sky game. Watching it seemed like, Man United are a team who are going to be near the top, and West Ham are a team looked like they're going to be near the bottom, to be honest, and that's pretty much how it turned out, wasn't it?
That was how the season panned out.
And then the next game we lost 3-2 away at Southampton. Arnautovic didn't get off to a great start, he got sent off. But we managed to get the 2-2, and then we lose 3-2, so that was a poor result against a team that would be near us in the table. And then an utterly predictable defeat away at Newcastle. Again, a newly promoted team. You could have thought, well, we've got to get something, and then we lose 3-0 against a team that, as I say, have just been promoted and don't score a lot of goals.
That's terrible. But conceding that many goals within the first 3 games is awful. Like, defensively, that's terrible. It's not what we'd hope would happen from the beginning. But like you said, a newly promoted team, you'd hope that would be the one that we would show up against and kind of prove that we were here and we did mean business. And to lose that badly was a bit of a shock, I think, because I think we'd all hoped we'd go off to a bit more of a flying start.
Yeah, I mean, for those that might have forgotten, West Ham played the first 3 games away from home because the London Stadium was being used for the World Athletics Championship, I think. So I thought it would be a difficult start. I thought we'd get at least a point or 2 from the first 3 games.
Yeah, especially with, obviously, Newcastle. You'd hope that you'd beat Newcastle. Yeah. Especially.
Well, or at least get a point, not 3-0.
That's much. That's
a real kick in the teeth.
Definitely.
But we finally managed to get our first league win of the season at home to Huddersfield.
Yes.
2 scruffy goals, you could say, from Obiang and Ayew, but a win's a win.
Yeah, and 2 different goal scorers as well. I'd kind of hope that it would give people confidence and hopefully mean that they might start performing a little more for the rest of the season. 2 goals are 2 goals, I guess. I'm not too fussed about the pretty football if we start getting results, but obviously I was concerned that we didn't absolutely smash them again, and it was a long season yet.
So we got a draw away at West Brom, which is a rubbish game we're not going to get into. But the next game at home was against our rivals Tottenham, and I think that game. Having watched it, having been there, that was the first time where it looked like Bilic was really under pressure because the players, especially that first hour, you'd say. I mean, Tottenham ran into a 3-0 lead quite comfortably. I think Harry Kane scored 2, Eriksen scored 1, 3-0 down, and against our rivals, you've got to show some fight, and the players weren't doing it for him.
Yeah, it did look like we'd just given up. It did look like, obviously there were rumours that things with Bilic weren't amazing and that the team were losing him and things like that. When people said he lost the dressing room, I was hoping that wasn't the case because I did really want him to do so well. But you could see that there was no battle there. There was no real fight to kind of go back against your rivals. Yeah,
like if you're going to turn up in a game in front of your home fans, you've got to turn up against Tottenham. You just have to.
Conceding so many in quick succession. It's just it's not a good start.
And it was just getting predictable as well because we had it in the first season as well. We lost to Man City heavily, lost to Arsenal heavily, and it was just that pattern was continuing in the first few games of the season where we played the big teams. It's a big pitch in London Stadium. We're just throwing the ball around, players not tracking back. It was just utterly abysmal.
That was one of the main problems, the tracking back. When you saw replays and you saw that players physically were not following the person they were marking or the ball, it was disappointing just to watch. Because you could see what was going wrong.
Yeah.
Disappointing.
That's an understatement. But no, it was shocking really. I mean, look, we got back to 3-2. Aurier was sent off for Spurs. We got back to 3-2, but that really did paper over the cracks, I think.
Yeah, because obviously a 3-2 result against Spurs is never the end of the world, but obviously it's just not enough, is it? When you've got that fewer points from the beginning of the season, things started to actually get worrying.
Yeah, they were, and I'll check the fixtures. So the week after, we played Swansea at home in what's got to be one of the worst games I've ever been to.
Yeah.
Ever. I mean, it was 2 very poor teams with no confidence playing against each other.
Poor football.
Yeah, it was. It's one of the rare times where I nearly fell asleep watching a game. I'm usually up for watching West Ham, watching live football, but it was very, very poor. And the one bit of quality in the whole game was West Ham's goal in the last minute when Arthur Masuaku run down the left, crossed the ball in for Diafra Sakho to smash the ball in from 10 yards or whatever it was.
Sakho.
one of his last goals for West Ham. But it was a much needed win, but it didn't look like we were going to get any better because we played so poorly.
Yeah, it just wasn't convincing. Like, I completely agree. The start of the season, at no point did I feel we were safe against any team. Even if we were to score, I didn't feel like we weren't going to concede. So it was just reasonably stressful start of the season.
Managed to get so next game we got a draw away at Burnley. This is a theme that crept up during the season where we took leads. We were ahead in games, but we didn't hold on for the win. So we were 1-0 up. Antonio scored. Then they get back into the game. But the next game at home at Brighton was an absolute horrific result. It was a Friday night live game on Sky. I think the players we're gonna step up now and turn our season around against a newly promoted team. And Brighton played us off the park.
Yeah,
they absolutely played it. We did not turn up at all. We were very, very shocking. Just a real abysmal performance from everyone. We're not one player played well. I mean, Arnautovic, that was one of his first few games. He got sent off against Southampton. He was he was very poor. Played out wide, didn't track back, didn't look a threat. And myself and a few fans sat around me were thinking, well, what have we bought him for? Because he's not actually adding anything to our play.
I completely agree.
And it was just one of those where him and the other players didn't turn up.
Yeah, if only we'd known, obviously in hindsight, about Arnautovic, but at the time I completely agree. I was looking at him and thinking he hasn't really shown up, and was he a waste of money in the squad? Which obviously is shocking to look at now how he's managed to perform, but at the time, the main thing that concerned me was that I didn't feel like the players had the hunger for the ball, the hunger to win, the hunger to battle. Whether we conceded first or whether we went up, it just felt like we were always on the verge of conceding or making a silly mistake from what seemed reasonably kind of lazy mistakes of just not tracking a man or just not making a run or an option. It did seem kind of risky every single game.
I completely agree. And plus, there was no confidence in the team at all. We'd seen the endless sideways passing along the back, sideways passing in midfield, and no one would make a forward run or would run with the ball or pass the ball forward. And just we weren't going anywhere. It didn't look a threat. I don't remember us having a shot in that game.
No, and as a fan, all you want to see is at least the effort. I mean, we're used to not winning. We're used to not being the greatest team ever in the Premier League. But I think all we want to do is see that fight sometimes. So when you could see that players, you had 10 minutes left and we were 1-0 down, and there's no urge or urgency to even get the ball forwards to try and score, I think was what was concerning people the most. And obviously that's when fans started to voice their opinions and sort of almost grouped together with unhappy feelings about everything.
I mean that game was one where I think a lot of the fans were going against Bilic or starting to go against Bilic, and certainly go against the board. It's very disgruntled atmosphere that game. So I think that was one of the first games where it looked like Bilic might be on his way out.
Yeah, which was a shame because I still do like Bilic and I did want him to succeed. I don't think I've ever wanted someone to succeed as a manager so much. But we weren't losing 1-0, we were losing 3-0 and we were losing by big goal margins. So something definitely needed to change at that point.
And change did happen, albeit briefly, in the Carabao Cup game against Tottenham away at Wembley.
Lovely win.
It looked like it was in the second half. In the first half, again, it was very poor. 2-0 up, Spurs win, and you think, this could be anything. Could be 5-6-0. Bitch could be sacked at the end of this game. It was one of those defining matches. It looked like, and it was, albeit for different reasons, where West Ham somehow come back and won 3-2. And a brilliant comeback. But unfortunately, the momentum didn't last long. I was saying then, the next game against Palace it did in the first half. We went 2-0 up away against at Selhurst Park against Palace. You think, okay, this is great, hang on.
But then
a good win. And they come back into it, and that was when Mikel Antonio infamously cross the ball near the end of the game instead of going for the corner.
Yeah.
Palace go up the other end and Sahar scores. You just knew it was going to happen.
Yeah, I could see it happening as well. As soon as he took the ball, I was just literally willing him, keep it in the corner, keep it in the corner. See the ball come across, and just like that, because I think confidence was low, the fans' confidence was low, the players' confidence was low. You could see when they were on the ball, they didn't believe that they could keep it themselves, which I think as well is a massive thing. Confidence plays a huge part in your performances.
Oh, yeah, of course.
If you don't have it, it's awful. But yeah, as soon as that, we conceded again, and it was just disappointing because it was another point, another 3 points that we'd thrown away potentially.
Yeah, exactly.
Just another disappointment, and a lot of them seemed that they could have all been easily avoided.
That's the worst bit.
That's the problem. Yeah. We were going up and then losing, and then we concede and draw at the last moment, and things like that was what I think was frustrating fans more than anything. Yeah,
I mean, one player who was very frustrated after the game was Mark Noble. He made a beeline for Tony after that game. I've got to say, I don't blame him, because he should have stuck it in the corner.
Big mistake. Yeah.
You know, 3 points, and if we would have won that game, Slaven might have stayed in his. Well, he might have had a stay of execution. So the next game, well, sadly, it was Slaven Bilic's last game in charge of West Ham. We lost 4-1 at home to Liverpool. And I don't know about you, Holly, but before that game, I knew Liverpool were going to beat us easily.
Having an amazing season. I mean, I could see that they could score, and we were conceding goals all over the place. I was assuming we weren't going to win that game. I was hoping that we will, as always, but it wasn't looking too positive even before the game. And obviously, Bilic was on tenterhooks with his job, and things were getting more exciting, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, it's an utterly depressing thing where you want your team to win, but you know they're going to lose. Yeah. That's a real awful feeling to have. And we knew West Ham were going to lose, and we knew we were going to concede a lot of goals.
Yeah.
And that's not a good feeling to have.
You know, awful going to the game knowing that as well.
Knowing that, you know, especially it was live on Sky as well. Everyone was seeing how bad we were. And Liverpool at that time they were playing well, but not like how they were towards the end of the season when they eventually got to the Champions League final and so on. But
so I hadn't warmed up quite yet.
Until we played West Ham, that is. But yeah, we just knew with their pace and the big pitch, they were going to make the most of it, and they did.
Yeah.
And it was just simple mistakes. Well, like cross-field passes being intercepted, players not tracking back. It was just all that negative play was just summed up in that 90 minutes.
You could almost see heads drop as well when we conceded. You could almost see that our whole gameplay changed. Their confidence was gone, and we just let teams sort of walk right through us.
Yeah, and that was it for Slaven Bilic. He was sacked shortly afterwards, and it was the right decision, I believe, because something had to change, because we were just playing abysmally against the big teams, and even the smaller teams like Brighton, who played us off the park. So something had to change. But he was the one manager for West Ham where I really wanted him to turn it around.
Same.
Because he got West Ham, didn't he?
Yeah, I mean, he was West Ham through and through. You could see how passionate he was. You could see that he loved it. And obviously there was talk that he'd lost the dressing room, which was a shame, because you wonder how it's got to that point. Obviously, I know we've had shocking results, but how you actually managed to lose the dressing room is difficult to understand without being there. From what I've heard, the training wasn't full on with intensity. A lot of things needed to change to be able to compete with the other teams. When you've got newly promoted teams who are clearly excited and they're coming up and they're motivated and they're training hard to be able to do well, and then we're not necessarily putting in the effort on the training ground, I don't think you can expect to win against the Newcastles and teams like that if you're not actually putting the work in.
Well, especially in the top flight, you've got to be on it all the time, haven't you?
Yeah, there's no excuses. You've always got to be ready to actually battle against every team. Anyone can win at any point in the Premier League. It's never guaranteed for any team. Yeah. So I was really sad to see Bilic go, because you could just see how much he cared. I thought he was a great guy who's clearly loved the team, but it just wasn't working anymore. But at the time I was concerned because I didn't know whether our next appointment would be any better than he had been.
Yeah, no, I agree. We had to make the change, but as you say, who was we going to bring in to make the difference? I mean, the thing with Slaven was, as you said, the training. Well, it didn't sound up to scratch, and even from West Ham's official videos they were releasing during pre-season, they were taking like volleys from 30 yards out and things like that. You kind of think, well, where are they actually running? Are they doing anything? It didn't sound like they were. And there's this picture circulating on Twitter not long after Beach was sacked. There was a picture of his fitness coach smoking a cigar. You kind of think, well, that sums it up, doesn't it?
Oh, there it is.
Yeah, so and we could see it on the pitch as well, where even, I mean, defensively we were shocking, absolutely abysmal. Couldn't defend, weren't marking, weren't putting challenges in, weren't tracking back, just the absolute basics. And even going forward, there was no attacking philosophy or no patterns in our play. It was just hoping for something to happen.
Yeah.
Like bits and pieces, but there was no coherent, full-on attacking. That just wasn't the case.
Yeah, strategy-wise, there didn't seem to be an enormous amount happening. It was almost if someone made a run, then you'd pass to them and you'd hope someone else would make a run straight after that. Yeah. It was all kind of played as it went along. I didn't feel like there was much of a strategy in place. Yeah. So it was difficult. It was like a really difficult period, I think, to actually change things at that point.
Yeah, exactly. So, unfortunately I had to go, but which is a shame. But so we were a bit linked with a whole host of names. Yeah. But in the end, the board decided to go for David Moyes. Mm-hmm. Bit of a mixed feeling, to put it calmly, amongst the fans. What did you make of his short-term signing?
So I was initially underwhelmed. In terms of who I thought would take us to the next level, I didn't actually know, which was the main reason I wasn't kind of Bilic out, because I couldn't see a manager that I clearly thought would take us to the next level to actually finish the season on a high. So when we signed Moyes, I gave him the benefit of the doubt, but I didn't feel that, obviously, given his track record, there'd be nothing that I felt would help our team at that point, because we needed someone who'd be positive and drag us out of the issues that we'd almost ended up in. At first I wasn't too pleased with the initial appointment, but I don't know who I wanted, I don't know what I wanted, so I gave him the benefit of the doubt. He did okay. The first few games were reasonably promising. It looked like he'd organised us a lot more, but from what I've heard on the training ground, he made the players run. Even Arnautovic came out and said if you don't run, you don't play, so I started running. And it's sad that, I guess, with Bilic it got to that point, but the fact that he did manage to change their mentality, I think, is huge. You could see all the stats about the amount of sprints and tackles and runs and distance covered. They all completely changed under Moyes, so he definitely got them working again, which was what we needed. We needed them to be doing that. Yeah,
exactly. I think I was a bit mixed, because if we were getting the Moyes that did so well at Everton for a long period of time, I'd have been, I'd be really up for it. But he found that Man United and Real Sociedad were not particularly relevant for us, but it was the previous season. It was at Sunderland, who got relegated. They finished bottom, so we were in a relegation battle the whole season, like we were at that time, and he couldn't keep them up. Albeit they had a very poor quality of squad.
Yeah, I mean, at the time, I completely agree, and I was thinking, if he's just got a team relegated, why are we bringing him in to stop us from getting relegated? Having looked at Sunderland this season, I think it was probably largely the team that caused the problems. I mean, they've struggled so much in the league below, so it wasn't necessarily his fault, but at the time, that's not, I guess, what you want to hear as a fan, that's the guy that's been brought in to come and save you.
Yeah, exactly. So, I was willing to give him a chance and just see what happens. But first game, we lost 2-0 away at Watford. Yeah. Not much had changed, really.
Yeah, I'm from Watford as well, so it was a bad week.
But I'll tell you what, I mean, even though we got a point in the next game at home to Leicester, you could feel something was happening. The atmosphere was really positive in the stadium, even when we went behind as well. Yeah, I think the fans really got behind the team, and the team, you could see the quality wasn't there going forward. That would still need to be improved, but they put the effort in. Yeah, and that's hence why the crowd got behind the team more. Yeah, and
the crowd really, really did get behind the team as well. I mean, like I said earlier, we're used to poor results, we're used to bad games, but I think all we want is to see the people trying. And I think with the crowd getting behind them, the players did perform better, and it did all start to look more positive.
Yeah, and then we come back down to earth again with the next game away at Everton, where we lost 4-0.
Yeah.
Absolutely horrific result. When Wayne Rooney loves playing against West Ham, and he scored an
That goal as well.
brilliant goal from the halfway line. So you knew that was going to happen.
It was one of those where I just thought, oh, we've lost it now. I'd rather lose with a goal like that, but the other three, I mean, it was just terrible. But that summed it up when he scores from basically the halfway line. You just see it absolutely looping in.
And Everton were really struggling at that point as well, because they had sacked Ronald Koeman, and it was David Unsworth's last game in temporary charge before Big Sam took over.
So this was our chance to make the most of it.
At least maybe get a point or something. But for a 4-0 loss, that just summed it up, didn't it?
Yeah, that literally was back down to earth, I think. After
but we really needed to turn it around, and it looked like. I think I would have settled for 4-0 in the next game because we played Man City away.
Yeah.
We were absolutely flying. Obviously, they won the league and they were on brilliant form at that time. Yeah. It was the Sky game. I was tempted to watch it from behind the sofa. That's how I thought I'd settle for a 4-0 defeat for them.
Subscription.
Yeah, exactly. I'll just go down the pub, get on it, and not watch the game. But yeah, we put that was the first game where you could see the effect Moyes had, because the players were challenging, were getting into defensive shape. Like that's when he played his 5 at the back.
Yeah.
He brought that in, and we looked so much more solid.
Yeah.
And we took the lead as well, which was so surprising. Couldn't believe it. I thought I bashed the telly to make sure it was working properly.
It's broken again.
Yeah. So old Bonner scored with a header. We thought, okay, we've got something to hold on to now. But look, City won in the end. David Silva scored the winner. Not 10 minutes from time?
Yeah, they were on incredible form. At any point in the season, I would have taken a loss to Man City, and especially by such a small goal margin, because they were one of the good teams. The main problem was that we were losing to people we should be hopefully finishing around or above.
And being heavily beaten by as well.
4-0s and things.
4-0 at Everton, 3-0 at home to Brighton.
Yeah.
3-0 away at Newcastle, as you mentioned earlier. So, but I was really, even though we lost, I was so positive with the team, and we looked so much better at the back, and even going forward, we didn't have a lot of the ball because City hogged the ball, didn't they, for fun? But we looked even on the counter. We looked to friend, and we could have even equalised. Yeah. In the dying second, Sacco had a shot, and it just went wide. Yeah. So we had a threat as well. So
we looked organised was the main thing. It looked positive for the upcoming games, which was why I was at that point.
And we carried on right until the last minute as well, because towards the last few games of Bilic's era, we'd just drop off after an hour. Yeah. The players would like obviously that's where the lack of fitness training come in, because we just didn't go for it. Yeah. For the whole 90 minutes, whereas in the City game, we certainly did so, and that we took that confidence going into the next game at home to Chelsea. Arnautovic scored his first goal. That was a brilliant goal with his left foot, curled it into the corner, and that was a really, really good game to go and watch.
Yeah, and this was when Arnautovic obviously started to show what he was capable of. Yeah. Which at the time I didn't have any idea that he wasn't necessarily being given the chance to do that under Bilic. But when you saw how well he started performing under Moyes, you realised that some good changes have been made to enable him to do what he does best now. Yeah,
well, Bilic was playing Arnautovic wide left. He was even playing Hernandez out wide as well. Yeah. You kind of think, well, that just play players in their proper position. I mean, Arnautovic has never played. I don't think I've ever seen him play as a striker, like a proper centre forward or false nine before. But fair play to David Moyes. He gave him a free role, and he obviously he scored his first goal, as I say, in the Chelsea game. And while Chelsea did have some chances, especially Morata near the end, but again we looked solid at the back, kept a clean sheet. Yeah. Adrian was in goal at the time, and he was performing well. So positive signs.
Yeah, it was looking a lot better at this point in the season.
Exactly. And the next game we drew 0-0. Yeah. A good result away at home to Arsenal, which we'd take that. We
Another point against the top 6 club. That's fine.
Yeah, we could have even have won that game. Chicharito hit the woodwork in the last minute, but again another positive result. Yeah. Going forward, the next game. Yep, we continued our good form where we beat Stoke 3-0 away. So a relegation rival, we absolutely smashed them. Yeah. I mean, Arnie, he scored twice, didn't he? He was
point to prove.
Yeah, well, I think he did himself to the West Ham fans with doing the old hammer signs after scoring.
Can't
And you know, Mark Hughes was giving it to him when he got subbed later on. So, but yeah, we looked much more of a threat going forward, didn't we?
Yeah.
The Moyes effect has started to take shape, didn't it?
Again, we started to show the fight to actually win, and we were beating the teams that we should. And what was worrying me the most is just picking up no points against teams that we should be beating, because not only are you not picking up points, but you're giving other teams the chance to hop above you. And at that point, there was no particular teams that looked like they were going to definitely be relegated. So it was all in the balance still. So 3 points against a potential relegation team is massive.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So unfortunately, we didn't quite take that momentum into the next game because we played Arsenal again at the Emirates in the quarter-final of the Carabao Cup. And you thought, well, it's a chance to get into the semis and possibly in the final, which, you know, West Ham haven't done the League Cup for some years. So, but we made a few changes, and so did Arsenal. But even so, you thought, well, there's a chance here for us to get through in that game. And it was a horrific game. It was terrible. West Ham were rubbish. Arsenal were rubbish. Even the goal by Welbeck was a scruffy tapping from 5 yards or whatever it was.
It was all poor.
And there was just some weird changes by Moyes that game. He played Aaron Cresswell at right back, which I didn't understand. And he took a while to bring Andy Carroll on as well.
At this point, I started to get a bit confused by Moyes' substitution tactics. I'd noticed, obviously, he brings players on late, but he doesn't necessarily bring on who I felt that we'd always needed to be swapped off. For example, I can't remember which game it was in, but Antonio was an absolute state. He'd just come back from his injury, I think.
Oh,
he was shattered. He could barely move. And we kept him on the pitch and made other subs and things like that I started to kind of wonder, were we making subs too late to impact the game when we needed to most?
Yeah, well, he started getting this Divering Dave nickname on Twitter, didn't he? And that was when it first started happening in that game. So look, we're out the cup, missed opportunity really. But the next game was slightly surreal because that was the Newcastle home game, and we were playing well, playing great football. Went 1-0 up through and out of it. She ran from pretty much the halfway line to score. That was a good goal. And then we just capitulated. We went 3-1 down. I was seeing tickets being thrown onto the pitch. It was just a very surreal game, and then we got back to 3-2. I mean, Ayew missed the penalty. One of the worst penalties I've ever seen. You know, when Noble don't play, we haven't got a penalty taker. I think that just confirmed it that game. Again, that was a real missed opportunity because and Newcastle are not a good team. They didn't play well that game at all, but they just took their chances.
We didn't.
And we didn't.
Literally all that made the difference, I think. Is literally the missed penalty summed it up. That was kind of another game that we'd thrown away essentially. Against the team that we needed to beat. So and
then Boxing Day was a real topsy-turvy game against Bournemouth. Again, we took the lead twice in that game, and then there was that controversial goal by Callum Wilson right at the end, wasn't there, where it looked like it was going to be handball. And then he cheekily smiled during his post-match interviews, like, "Well, come on, mate, you know what's happened. You know what had happened." So, but at least the fight was there. The quality, especially defensively, was still not 100%. But at least we were trying to get back in the game and showing that fighting spirit by taking the lead or regaining the lead when we were behind as well.
I mean, we'd shown that we were capable of leaking goals. I knew that we would probably concede. Given our track record so far in that season, we would concede. But all that matters is that you managed to score more than the other team, essentially. So the fact that we did have the fight to keep coming back and try and take the lead again and again was positive. Although, obviously, it wasn't necessarily how we'd hoped the game would pan out. So, there were a lot of positives and negatives in a lot of games. I didn't feel that there was too many games where it was all positive, which was a lot to think about after that game.
Yeah, so that was the end of 2017. So we started off 2018 in good form, really. So we beat West Brom at home, and we were 1-0 down. But Andy Carroll scored twice. I mean, he scored the winner right at the end as well. So that was a real vital game for us, where we needed the 3 points. And then we played Spurs a couple of days later away at Wembley. Didn't manage to win 3-2 this time, but we got a good draw.
Exactly.
With Pedro Obiang scoring the best goal of his career.
Beautiful
and he will ever score, actually, because by all accounts he doesn't even shoot in training, let alone in games. So
took me by such surprise as well.
Yeah.
Just because we tend to pass so much around the area, and quite often nothing happens. Just absolutely rocketed it in. Oh, beautiful goal.
We just saw nothing was on.
Yeah.
And he thought, well, might as well do.
Do that more often.
So the next one will probably end up in Rose Ed, but if he,
worth a try.
Yeah, exactly. So that was a good draw. Good performance against one of the top teams, so good momentum. So that's when we played at Shrewsbury, in the FA Cup away. I mean, yes, we made a few changes. A few of the youngsters like Josh Cunnan had played. Joe Hart was back in goal, but yeah, I mean, it was weird. I mean, it looked like the League One side were West Ham, and Shrewsbury were the Premier League side.
We just didn't turn up, did we? They wanted it, and we didn't seem to act like we really needed to win. There wasn't really any particular urgency about it. And Shrewsbury, they turned up and they wanted it, didn't they?
Yeah, I don't actually remember having West Ham having a shot.
No.
In the whole game.
It's horrible to watch. Horrible.
And unfortunately, it was quite predictable as well. We just knew we weren't gonna.
Is that the one where Cullen lost his tooth as well?
That's right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, at least he showed a bit of fight.
I saw some jokes about him having his tooth subbed on and all sorts. So it's not going well again.
It might have been better than some of the players that were playing that day. But we bounced back brilliantly the next game against Huddersfield. Where we won 4-1, and that duo up front, Lanzini and Arnautovic, were really clicking at that point, and Huddersfield just couldn't live with us that game.
That's exactly it, and I think when Arnautovic has someone to back him up and feed him the ball, and he plays often because he holds the ball up brilliantly. I think he plays so much better like that, because you can't stick someone up front on their own and expect them to do all the runs to drop back and get the ball and then be able to score. So I think obviously with that duo we showed that it does really, really work, and that there was promise there. Yeah,
there was a lot of games up to that point and for the rest of the season where Arnie was up front on his own, and literally he'd be in the Oppo's penalty area, and there'd be 40 yards before the next West Ham player was there. It was just in terms of isolated, that was proper isolated, wasn't it?
Pretty much on a different pitch.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, the others were probably stuck on the halfway line. That was a good result against Huddersfield, and then managed to beat Shrewsbury just in the replay.
Yeah.
After extra time, and then in the league, played Bournemouth at home, went 1-0 down against the run of play, I'd say, but we bounced back straight from the kick-off, where Chicharito stabbed the ball home. So that was again. You want to win those games, but you don't want to lose them either, which we were doing earlier in the season, weren't we?
Yeah.
But we managed to get a point, so that was all good. The next game was against Wigan in the FA Cup away, and that was a dreadful performance, wasn't it? Losing 2-0 when it could have been more. Yeah. Again,
it just didn't look like we were up for it, and it showed on the pitch, and just didn't really necessarily. It's just lots of disappointments throughout the whole season, ongoing, I think. But yeah. Yeah, I think we were going for a ridiculous run of injuries at that time. That's true.
I mean, our benches for the league games were absolutely hilarious. I mean, I was surprised I didn't get a call up to sit on the bench at one point. The amount of injuries we were getting, but we managed to bounce back slightly from that, because we drew with Palace at home. Again, we went 1-0 down, similar to the Bournemouth game. Went behind, but then missed a reliable from the penalty spot. Mark Noble stepped up and
can't be beaten.
Tucked the ball home easily.
Yeah.
And my friend who I was sat next to at the London Stadium, he was telling me, because he worked on the Iron Man DVD.
Okay.
And he was saying about I think he spoke to Mark Noble about why is he so good at penalty taking.
Okay.
And he said, well, I don't care if I miss. It's basically his response.
Yeah.
So that's why he's so...
Takes the pressure off, doesn't it?
Yeah, that's why he's so relaxed when he takes penalties, because he's not bothered if he misses.
Yeah.
Like, he takes that fear out of his head, and that's why he's so good.
So reliable. Yeah, I trust him on the penalty spot.
Yeah, definitely. And then unfortunately we didn't carry on our sort of momentum. We played away at Brighton and lost 3-1.
Yeah. That was bad. So I was at that game, and you could see that the crowd turned. It got to a point where you could see that everyone was fed up, and everyone changed from supporting the team to directing their anger more at the board. The songs that were being sung, everything completely changed, and I think fans had kind of hit a breaking point where they felt that every time things started to look good, they just fell back again, and there wasn't any strategy necessarily to...
We weren't consistent, were we? We were consistently inconsistent. That was so frustrating. We're used to that as a West Ham fan, but it was even more exaggerated this season, wasn't it?
Yeah.
We played well for one game, then played poorly the next one, and then just when you think we're going to climb out of trouble, we're back in it again.
Yeah. And it seemed that the other teams that were falling into trouble were then starting to perform again, and nothing was certain, and a lot of people felt like changes needed to be made. But yeah, losing away at Brighton, it was just an awful atmosphere, really. Well,
that was our first game after the January transfer window had shut, hadn't it? And we hadn't made near enough the amount of signings we needed. We had so many injuries at the time. We had so many holes in our squad that were not filled during the summer, where we didn't have a defensive midfielder apart from Obiang, who was injured at the time. Should have got Carvalho in the summer. Ridiculous by the board not signing him, considering that he wanted to come to us and we needed him, because we got, as I said earlier, we got rid of Nortvite. We didn't have anyone else really who could play in that position.
And it looked like we weren't overly fussed with signing anyone, that we just kind of gone, we'll be short in that position.
Yeah,
which is why everyone was angry. I understand.
And we had such a thin squad, so I'm not surprised the anger was directed towards the board.
Yeah.
At that Brighton away game. And even in January, João Maro online, we got from Inter Milan. We thought, okay, that's a decent step, because I think he played well.
Yeah.
When he, in the second half of the season when he joined us, I think he's got good.
Yeah, I rate him. Yeah. I know a lot of people don't, but I do think he's got more to give, and that he's got promise.
Yeah, he's got good technical ability, and he linked well with Lanzini and Arnautovic as well.
He's confident on the ball as well, which I like.
Yeah, and I think he'll get better.
Me too.
And I think we should definitely, even if we don't buy him, get him on loan for the full season.
Yeah.
Because I think he's got something about him.
Yeah.
And especially he was playing in the team that was so low on confidence for the time he was there. Imagine if we were playing good football all the time, full of confidence. He'd be amazing for us, I think.
Definitely.
But he was good, and then on the last day, deadline day, Jordan Hugill from Preston in what's got to be the most ridiculous panic buy I've ever seen.
Yeah.
From us.
I don't know if it was that the board could obviously see that we needed a striker, or whether they could see that fans just wanted something more, but it was a pure panic buy by the looks of it. I know there were rumours floating around that it was in case we got relegated that we'd have someone.
But
in my head, that makes no sense. That makes no sense.
But even if it was for that reason, he wasn't tearing trees up in the Championship, was he? It's not like a prolific scorer like Jordan Rhodes has been over the years, and other similar players who've maybe not quite made the step up to the Premier League, like Cameron Jerome is another one. So. But even if it's for that reason, I think that's ridiculous as well.
Yeah.
But again, that just showed the lack of ambition and lack of strategy by the board, because basically they were in charge David Sullivan basically appointed himself in charge of all the transfers,
Yeah.
You know, and he's just so incompetent at it.
I think the main problem was the lack of ambition there with signing Jordan Hugill. Like, I'm sure he's a great player, but he just hasn't been given the chance. He doesn't fit in with the squad. He's not the quality that you need in a Premier League team at the moment. I mean, by all means, we haven't seen an enormous amount of him. He hasn't been on the pitch for a long time.
Yeah.
Perhaps if he was on for longer with the right players around him, he could be great. But at the same time, I don't think it was a signing that was anything that anybody wanted. You need someone that can at least prove that they can score goals at Premier League level, and completely out of his depth by coming to us.
Yeah, so I still don't get why we signed him.
Still hoping he'll score a hat-trick at some point.
Yeah, no.
He'll definitely come on and score a hat-trick.
To me, it seemed like he was a competition winner.
Yeah.
Like, play for West Ham for 3 games or whatever. Like, that's what it seemed like, because...
Yeah.
And it's not his fault, by the way.
Oh no, I'd love him to come out and do well, but I just think it almost wasn't fair to drag him into the situation with angry fans that want an out-and-out striker, and then we bring him into the situation where I'm sure even he knows that the pressure's enormous, and it wasn't necessarily just what we needed at the time. We weren't in a position to do a signing like that.
No, but we were thin. We had a thin squad anyway.
Yeah.
And in January we sold Sacco. We sold Ayew back to Swansea. We sold Fonte to China.
Yeah.
So we had holes in our squad anyway, and they were even deeper in January.
Yeah.
So we needed more than Mario and Hugo. We needed another 2 or 3 at least.
Yeah, minimum.
Yeah, because we were proper.
And that's without even strengthening what we should.
Well,
have.
yeah, exactly. We needed numbers as well as quality, and we still weren't safe from trouble.
No.
So like this could, I mean, thankfully obviously we stayed up, but that could have really cost us.
Given the first half of the season, you'd really hope that would be the point where everyone panics and says we need to make these good signings, whether we pay over the odds, whether we negotiate just to, even on loan, to have somebody that will be able to take the club to the next level.
Yeah.
But yeah, that wasn't the transfer window at all that was going to do that. So with the whole other half of the season to come, that was what was most worrying. Exactly.
So, but despite all that, despite the poor performance away at Brighton, we did well against Watford, beat them 2-0. Hernandez and Arnie with the goals, and even that goal, I wasn't particularly confident. I don't know about you, because Watford had beaten Chelsea earlier that week.
They were playing well at that point,
and they looked to be like playing well under the new manager Javi Garcia. But yeah, we played really well.
Yeah, we really did. And again, we were using Hernandez in position. He's a poacher. He taps the ball in.
Yeah.
So when we've tried to play him outside the box and when he's been dropping deep, it just hasn't worked. I mean,
or not playing him.
Yeah, or from the bench he hasn't scored as well. Like, I just feel bad for him as well, because I feel that if he's in the box, he is the kind of person that will manage to score, especially with Arnautovic that can get the ball into the box quite easily. The pair of them work really well. No one will be isolated. But we're almost expecting Hernandez to be a player sometimes that he isn't.
Yeah.
He's not got the strength. He is a poacher. I don't know how many goals he scored from outside the box, but I don't think it's many at all ever in his entire career.
Exactly,
so you can't expect him to. So it was good to see almost him being given a chance to actually get in the box with Arnautovic, and both of them managing to score.
Yeah, exactly. But exactly like West Ham season, ridiculously inconsistent. We play Liverpool at Anfield and lose 4-1.
Yeah.
Which, look, we've never had a great record at Anfield, but, you know, one of those. But it's the game after that was more disappointing, because we played Swansea away, a relegation rival, and we lose 4-1 to them.
Yeah, 4 goals. Conceding 4 goals from Swansea is unimaginable. It's the kind of thing you hope would never ever happen. And again, we've won, and then we've lost to a team that, okay, we probably usually would lose to, but then the confidence is gone and we're back down again, and it's the constant up and downs that I don't think any of the team managed to just find momentum and start winning.
Yeah,
Swansea.
And that performance was similar to how we were at the end of Billich's reign, where the players just gave up, essentially.
Yeah. Just looks like done.
Yeah, it was terrible, wasn't it? And that's when I started really fearing for us. Unfortunately, it only got worse from there. So 10th of March 2018 is certainly a date I'll never forget, because that was the infamous 3-0 defeat against Burnley at home, but that scoreline only tells half the story.
I've never known such a game that has hit so many headlines as well, and that was the other thing. We'd almost become a laughing stock to other clubs, to other teams. I went into work the next day and all everyone was talking about was just like ripping into me about the state of the club, which is worrying that obviously it's so obvious from outside the club, but it just went so wrong with for the fans to turn and for the publicity around it to be so obvious and to lose 3-0 first of all, but then just everything, the pitch invader, Noble having to take them out.
Invaders.
But yeah, it summed up everything from the problems with the stadium security. There's a pitch invader or 10.
Yeah.
And then they managed to get next to the players to the point where a player's then taken it out. And then fans were so angry with the state of everything that they were getting angry at Noble for taking him down and saying, why have you done this? He's trying to prove a point. And it all just went wrong because everyone, even on Twitter, was turning against each other. I got people having a go at me for things that I wasn't even commenting on, people asking me why I wasn't and things like that. That it did really all kick off and we were all angry. It was the nightmare of a season. And that right there was the tipping point. They'd cancelled the marches, but there were clearly thousands and thousands of people that still wanted to and that were fuming at how the season was going. They didn't get the chance to express themselves. They didn't feel like we were getting any progress necessarily. And just like that, it's all absolutely snapped. And it couldn't have gone more wrong, I don't think, that game.
Well, everything just built up, didn't it? Like, as you say, we've moved stadium and nothing's improved. Like, people don't like the stadium. Like the views and so on. The performances have been shocking since we moved as well. A lot of them. There's been no proper ambition by the board. In terms of signings, like not enough signings, not enough money being spent. And as you said, that there was a march that was meant to happen from Stratford to the stadium. That was cancelled. I think people just wanted to tear up. I think. Yeah,
people were just angry and they just wanted some way to vent that frustration and. It happened to be on that game. I mean, we weren't actually playing that badly in the game. When I was watching, I didn't feel like we deserved to concede first necessarily. But that was it. We conceded and, it just tipped over the edge, didn't it?
Well, that was the most frustrating part of that whole game was at half-time we should have been at least 1 or 2 up. And we were playing well against a Burnley team who were, 6th or 7th at the time?
Yeah. They were performing.
Yeah, so they were playing well. And I love Sean Dyche, their manager. He's absolutely brilliant and he's got the most out of the group of players he's got. But we were much a better team in the first half. But, against the run of play, they score first, Burnley. And everything just capitulated from there. Yeah,
it got worse and worse, didn't it? I mean, with the stoppages of play and the players' heads had gone. There was no coming back from that. I think once we went 2-0 down and it was gone. Like the game was gone. I just wanted full-time whistle to blow. It was gone.
It was so surreal watching it. It felt like it was like a TV show or film or something. You kind of feel, well, this stuff doesn't happen.
Yeah.
Like there's fighting within our own fans.
Yeah.
Like the pitch invaders who come back into the stand. The stands were being punched for like why are you on the pitch? There was a guy with a corner flag. You picked the corner flag up, got to the halfway line, started waving it about.
Yeah.
As you say about Noble, throwing fans to the floor. It was shameful about the coin throwing towards the board. You can't do that, but I can understand the frustration though. And having a go at them because of the promises that have been made and not been kept.
Yeah, I mean, I can see how it's got to this point, and when you look back, you can see that it's been a slippery slope from the promises that we were made, and obviously switching stadium is always going to be a huge change, and we haven't had the results that have made it a happy change, and it's just been promises that haven't come off and decisions that we wouldn't necessarily agree with. I know we don't see everything behind the scenes, so we don't necessarily know the full picture from the board's perspective, but just promise after promise that's been let down. And then obviously PR wise you've got it on camera with these promises being made, and then people are then comparing it, and everyone on social media is getting together and you're looking at this and it just forms a really, really terrible, negative, angry atmosphere. I completely understand. It's been shocking. The whole transition has not gone to plan overall, but I do hope that now we're out of the worst of it.
Mm.
But yeah, it's just been a nightmare in terms of when one thing seems to be sorted, another problem seems to pop up. And that game was the tipping point of the whole season, where I think it became evident that there were serious problems.
Yeah, I think that game just highlighted, as you say, how angry we were as fans, and it showed to the nation and worldwide that we weren't happy with the promises that had been made. I mean, the owners have come out since, like, there weren't promises but like you don't move stadium, and like I remember the voiceover video with Ray Winston, like promising this, promising that, and Karen Brady saying, "Oh, world class facilities, like world class stadium, world class team, going for the Champions League in a few seasons." It's like, well, don't pull the wool over our eyes, and like we're you know, I know we're very down to earth as West Ham fans, and we like a laugh and banter and so on, but we know what we're talking about.
Yeah,
and we're not asking for much.
That's the thing. I don't think we've ever asked for too much, but I think the problem is that these promises just haven't ever happened. And if you feel like you're being made a mug of, then very quickly people get angry, and it was always going to happen. Yeah,
it was a snowball effect, wasn't it? Everything was. It was just building and building. And at the end of the day, we lost 3-0. So we lost 3-0. After all that, like.
And then there is the debate that a lot of people have been saying, but did we lose that game for ourselves? Because obviously with everything that happened, but at the same time, I think it's very difficult where obviously business, and not that the board are not fans as well, but when business meets fans, if it looks to fans as though it's only business decisions and money-saving decisions being made, and that the money's not being put back in, fans are furious, because we obviously pay for games, we pay for season tickets. It's not it's an expensive hobby to have. And if fans feel like they're giving their all, but the people that are ultimately making the decisions that are ruining the season aren't, then I think that's how it quickly becomes so hostile. But the communication had broken down between the board and the fans, and it was just awful, because it had become an us and them mentality. And if I said something that wasn't necessarily slating the board on Twitter, people would ask me why I was pro-board, or why I was like loving the board. And it felt like you either had to be hating the board or loving the board, that you couldn't say anything necessarily just about a game without people saying, oh, you're pro-board, you're against the board. And the us and them mentality, I think, very quickly just changed everything. So we knew changes had to be made to fix everything.
That game just showed there was a huge divide between the fans and the owners.
Massive.
Well, I think there was anyway, but that just accentuated it, didn't it?
Yeah. So that was when obviously you'd hope that you'd realise changes have to be made. Like this can't go on. You don't see it with other Premier League clubs. Obviously with Newcastle, they're not happy with how things are, but at no point has it ever got to that stage.
I mean, and not all stadium moves are successful straight away. I mean, when Southampton moved to St Mary's, it took time for them to adjust. When Man City moved from Main Road to what was called the City of Manchester Stadium at the time, they were in transition for a few seasons, but they weren't promised the world or promised world class this, world class that, next level bullshit that we were promised. If the board said, well, look, we're going to move to the stadium, but it's going to take a couple of seasons for us to get used to it, then when the TV money starts coming in, we're going to invest properly and so on, I think most West Ham fans would say, okay, fair enough.
Yeah, even if it was slightly disappointing, it's a lot better than finding out as it happens that things aren't going to be necessarily invested back into.
Yeah, exactly. But like, especially in that game, the question that was asked by myself and a lot of people, like, why have we moved stadiums? Why have we've been in 2 relegation battles since we've moved? Hardly any investment. Now we might as well just stay that up to par, because at least that was ours. Yeah, that's what gave us not advantage, but it was ours. Like when we needed it most, with the tightness of the pitch and the fans all close together and the close-knit community. Whereas that completely disappeared when we moved to London Stadium. I mean, for the poor performances on the pitch, that certainly wasn't helping.
Yeah, I mean, so much has changed, and having worked behind the scenes at the club, I've seen that even for the club, it's not necessarily ideal. I mean, the use of the pitch and the way the whole stadium is set up is that West Ham don't have as much control as I think they'd like over a lot of aspects of it. So I know behind the scenes it hasn't necessarily flowed as smoothly as they'd hoped, but it's all had a huge knock-on effect. But I mean, as you move stadium, like you said, a lot of other teams have been slow off the block to take off with new stadiums. If you look around the globe, there are a lot of other athletic stadiums that have been used as football grounds. We know the seats are further back, but I don't feel that is the main problem. I know I'm in the smaller minority, but I don't feel that necessarily the stadium itself is the problem, but more everything that's come along with the stadium. From the promises to the lack of investment and the just everything.
Rubbish performances.
Yeah, if we'd won, I do wonder if fans would be as angry about switching home, and if it would potentially feel more like home, and if there's a lot of ifs and buts, but obviously it's been a nightmare, the move. Everyone loved our old ground. That was our home, and we feel like we've almost had our heart ripped out, thrown in a new place, promised the world, not really had it delivered, and it's just been disappointing. And for fans, we live and breathe football in West Ham, and to see that happen, I know that it does upset obviously a lot of us, and it's difficult to watch, to see everything change so much.
Yeah, I agree. But well, you could say infamously, or whether it's bad timing, whatever, the players went to Miami, didn't they, for a break? But it did help. Because it seemed to be more relaxed and team building and so on. And the next game was the most crucial of our season, wasn't it? So we played Southampton, who were right down there with us. They just appointed Mark Hughes. It was his first league game. It was such a titanic. That was the absolute definition of a 6-pointer, wasn't it?
Yeah. New manager.
Yeah, and what a brilliant first half by the players. Oh, and I have to say the fans, that's one of the best atmospheres since we moved stadiums.
I was so glad because everyone just got back behind the team straight away. The week before, I was so concerned that obviously the atmosphere was awful, and for that to be carried on for the rest of the season, that would have got us relegated.
Oh, definitely.
But we do love the club. I know that obviously a lot of the time people protest and people moan and people argue, but it's because everyone's got so much love for the club. So to see everyone get straight back behind them was great, because that's what we needed to pull the players out. And while the trip was not ideal PR-wise, to see them suddenly go on holiday and everyone see them in the sun lounging around, that was not ideal at all. But
with the old Ray-Bans on,
having a little sunbathe, but it did seem to do them world of good, potentially, to just get away from everything that was happening and almost start fresh. And that game showed that they came back, we came back as fans and pulled it out of the bag.
Yeah, I mean, some brilliant performances individually and by the team as well. I mean, Mario he opened scoring and scored his first goal for the club. It was a great shot into the top left corner, and then Arnautovic scored a tap in, and our third goal was one of our better goals of the season. Masuaku, he crossed one of his rare good crosses. He crossed the ball into the box, and then Arnie volleyed it in first time. So 3-0 at half time, and we were one of those rare occasions where we're in second gear for the second half. And Southampton were terrible, but
we turned up.
And we turned up, and that's what we needed.
You go home and you're just so happy. It's almost such a relief, because the rest of the season, this has been like an unknown feeling. I'd almost forgotten how good it was, and you want to watch Match of the Day and you want to talk about it, and you go on Twitter and people are happy. It's just so nice to be in a good atmosphere again, that it reminds you exactly why you love football so much. And when you do have a game like that.
Yeah, I mean, and it turned around so quickly. It was only like a couple of weeks beforehand. It was the Burnley game, as you say. It was toxic, and we lost, and everything had fell apart. And everything was back. Well, most things were back in place for the Southampton game, and we carried that on in the next game where we drew 1-1 away at Chelsea at Stamford Bridge.
Take that any day.
Yeah, but very good discipline and battle shown by the players again after going 1-0 down. Chicharito at his predatory best.
Yep.
Where he scored first time in the box, and you thought, right, okay, we're just getting towards safety now.
Yeah.
And I thought we would secure safety in the next game. Unfortunately, we didn't.
The other team started showing up as well, didn't they?
Yeah, I mean, Stoke were not getting wins, but they were performing better under Paul Lambert. I mean, Carvalhal's doing well at Swansea. Even Mark Hughes eventually was getting results at Southampton. So we needed to keep going.
It wasn't all over yet.
Well, all over, and it wasn't after that Stoke game as well, 1-1, where I think that was it for me with David Moyes. I think a lot of fans were the same, where, look, he kept us up, but you can't have 5 at the back every game against a team like Stoke.
And we were still conceding. If we conceded 0 goals because we'd set up like that, I could almost understand it. But
we weren't.
We just had to go out and score. We needed to go out and win. We had to smash them, and we also needed to prove a point, though. We weren't there to defend against Stoke, and all we did was pretty much sat back, and it was negative play, and there was no ambition or aim there to actually go and get a 4-0. And
it was a great opportunity for us to secure our safety and basically confirm their relegation as well. But and it was almost inevitable when they took the lead.
Yeah.
I mean, it was a horrendous mistake by Joe Hart, but even so, it didn't like we were going to score. Really, it was only when eventually Moyes made the subs, far too late, but he made them anyway, and then Carroll scored that great volley, didn't he? But
that was such a good goal.
That was it for me with Moyes. Obviously I backed the team, and I still backed him to keep us up, but in terms of long term, that was it for me, because we couldn't have another season or two of that negative football.
That's the thing. I feel like we need to actually push to the next level now, and under Moyes, he's another one who will most likely keep you up, and he may well have been better with another season under his belt, but I just didn't see it being enough. We need to push to finish in the top 10, if not above that, and I don't see that happening again with Moyes. So it was evident that we needed to get rid of him. I think.
So we got a point there, but then another pair of 4-1 defeats away at Arsenal, where we drew 1-1, like we were drawing 1-1 back in the game, and then we just capitulated after then, which is becoming a regular theme throughout the season, wasn't it?
Yeah, we loved.
Unfortunately.
Yeah.
And then at home against Man City again, it was incredibly poor again. I know they won the league by a huge margin. They were a phenomenal team with a brilliant coach in Guardiola, but you got to put the effort in, and we didn't.
And we conceded in such quick succession as well that they were literally just one after the other, pretty much, weren't they? And you just can't let that happen. And I did feel that you go 2 or 3-0 down, and suddenly it's kind of like, we've lost now. But goal difference was what it was all coming down to as well at the end of the season. We could have been relegated with the same number of points by, I think there were 3 teams at one point.
Yeah.
And it was all coming down to everything. So every goal that we conceded mattered, and there was no time to switch off. And
exactly.
Not good conceding that much.
But like West Ham, like the players gave City the Guard of Honour before the game, because they had confirmed their championship title, I think the day before, the game before, whenever it was.
Yeah.
But it looked like it carried on for the whole game.
Yeah.
Literally was like, away you go, lads.
Keep going.
You can score as many as you want.
Yeah.
And they were playing the second gear as well, so that was the worst bit.
Yeah.
But
I was hoping they'd switch off as well, but obviously they were going for the goal.
Yeah.
They were going for every record.
They're going for
much
everything.
Is, so there was no chance of that.
But when we needed a much needed result, we got that away at Leicester. I mean, they were going through a sticky spell, but you just never know with West Ham.
Yeah.
You just never know. Like if a team's in bad form or a striker's going through a barren run, just play West Ham. You'll be back in form. You know how it is. I thought that might happen, but fair play to the team. I wasn't there, but judging by the highlights and the fan cams from West Ham Fan TV, it was pretty positive, and we deserved it. We did
deserve it, and it was good as well just to be a bit more comfortable, I guess, in the game. We didn't look like we were in danger, and it was a relief to watch.
Yeah, so that secured our safety at long last. I thought we might go to the penultimate on the last game, but we secured it. We secured it, so that was. I think that helped in our remaining performances at home to Man United, where we could have potentially won.
Yeah.
And then the last game at Everton, where we gave this on the Big Sam and managed to win 3-1. So we looked much more of a threat going forward, didn't we? Lanzini and Nautovic again were very good, and as well as Mario. So in the end, we finished 13th.
Yeah.
Could have been a lot worse.
We didn't deserve to be 13th if you look at the whole season of how we did, but I'm so glad that we did, just because I feel like it almost puts us in a good position to start next season. But it was so difficult just watching most of the season, so it was nice to finish convincingly. Yeah. But I do wonder if confidence, I mean, as soon as the pressure's taken off, we start doing okay. But obviously we didn't necessarily have enough games to prove that was going to be consistent. If there were more games, we possibly would have lost a 4-0 the day after. So it's so difficult to know what was going to happen. But I'm glad that we did manage to obviously secure our safety. I would not want the season in the Championship, because it just gets awful, doesn't it? I mean, it's so difficult as well to come back up.
Yeah, it's hard to get out of.
Yeah, so I'm very relieved, and I think a lot of people just want change, because the amount of people that were saying they hoped we were relegated just to bring some reality to it. For me, I can't understand that at all. Like, at no point would I ever want to be relegated. No. But the fact that fans had got to that point where some were saying, I hope just to prove a point that we're relegated, so people realise that we have to actually put money back into the squad.
Well, it shows how bad
how bad it's got.
Yeah.
Yeah. So hopefully this is almost proven that things do need to change enormously for next season.
Definitely.
But it seems to have been looking good so far, so I'm positive.
Yeah, it's a very rare feeling, isn't it? Look, we finished 13th. Look, it was a very, underwhelming season. It was a poisonous season at some points, like we mentioned about the Burnley game and the terrible performances. Like we could see the joint most goals in the league, for example. So just everything was coming on top of us, but we managed to stay up. And fair play to David Moyes. As we mentioned earlier, I was a bit mixed about him, but look, he has kept us up, and I think he'll manage to stay in the Premier League with a. Well, he might be one of these firefighters like Big Sam. He might just be one of them where he's just waiting by his phone, ready for phone calls to be made. So I think he's restored some of his reputation, I'd say. Definitely.
While I said I was underwhelmed by his initial appointment, I think he has proved himself, and he was not dealt the best of hands. I mean, when he came in, we've got so many injuries, so many problems. We had angry fans, like everything was going wrong, and to manage a team, I can't imagine would be very easy through all these situations where the pressure on the players and the pressure on performing and winning is enormous. So fair play to him for keeping us up, because that can't have been easy at all.
Fair play to him. Look, we did it.
Yeah,
we did it. So he did his job. Yeah. He did his job, and I don't care what people say. If Bilic was in charge for the rest of the season, we would have been relegated comfortably.
I think so as well.
And we would have been cut adrift how West Brom were before Darren Moore turned it round there, but we'd have been cut adrift easily. So
at the time I didn't know if we'd made the right decision, but looking back we 1,000,000% did, just because I don't think Bilic would have turned it around. I don't think there would have been, even if we did have ups and downs, I don't think there would have been many ups. It was too far gone, I think.
Yeah, well, I think the board learnt from failing to sack Avram Grant.
Yeah.
Like, we should have sacked him. Like, he stayed in charge the whole season. He should have been sacked at least halfway through. But they didn't make that mistake this time. So, at least they did something good for once. But look, the season's over. But not long ago, West Ham appointed Manuel Pellegrini.
Yes.
As a new manager. He's managing in China, but he's managed Real Madrid, Villarreal,
City,
Man City. A host of other teams. So I don't know about you, but this is the most excited I've ever been for a West Ham appointment.
I'm absolutely buzzing, actually. So his style of play excites me, because he's attacking. I don't feel like we'll have Arnautovic up there on his own. I feel like he might actually attract good names in the transfer window if we kept Moyes. I don't know if a manager who was on a short-term contract potentially would have been attractive when you've got... Yes, we finished 13th, but if you were a player and you looked at our season, there's not much there that would make you go, I want to play for West Ham. Yeah. So I like to think that he might attract that. He's won the league. He's won it in style as well. He did so well when he did win Man City. Yeah. They absolutely smashed the league. So he can do it, and he's proven that he's capable of it. So I'm really, really excited actually to see what the next season holds.
Yeah, I'm really excited because, as you say, he plays attacking football, and even though he's won the league with City, he actually goes under the radar slightly because when City did win the league in 2014, it was all the chat during that season and since then really has been about how Liverpool didn't win the league with like the Steven Gerrard slipping against Chelsea and the front three of Sterling, Suarez, and Sturridge.
Yeah.
And the fantastic play going forward. But City scored more goals than Liverpool.
Yeah.
And they
almost got forgotten.
Yeah, and they won the league, and like even that's sort of been forgotten about.
Yeah. And I know everyone always writes Man City off saying that they're one of the teams that they've had so much investment into their squad. But I do think that he shows promise, and even the things that he said upon signing, that we need multiple signings to come in.
Yeah.
And that I think if he's given the budget to do with what he'd like, I think we could have a really exciting season on our hands.
Yeah, and he said openly he wants to play attacking football, which is music to our ears, because under Moyes we weren't like that. We were just staying in games trying to nick wins, which is not what we want.
Yeah.
And we've got enough attacking threat to beat a lot of teams.
We're good as well. We're good when we're on the ball and when we play a good style of football, and we can perform, and that's what I think was so frustrating when we weren't even trying to do that.
Yeah. I mean, I was looking at the table, and in the bottom half, we've scored the most amount of goals in the bottom half. We've scored more goals than Newcastle, who finished 10th. So, like, that's where our strength is. Just like West Ham have never been a team who've been amazingly in defence.
Yeah.
Never have been and never will be.
No.
And people will go on about, what's the West Ham way? Well, it's like having flair players going for wins, trying to outscore the opposition. And that's never changed and never will do.
Yeah, and we just grind out the results. We just work for it, which is
what
work
we need hard
to do.
Yeah.
And I don't think Pellegrini will take any rubbish. I don't think he'll let players stack off.
Yeah.
So hopefully he'll get us more organised as well. I know our defence has never been great, but if we could tighten up just so we don't leak so many goals, I think that'd be ideal. And there's a bit of a gap as well in the midfield where the ball quite often comes through straight to our defenders. And I think if we travel more as a group and work together as a team, make more options, we'll be in a really good position.
Yeah, well, we need more ball players in midfield.
Yeah.
We're lacking centre midfielders anyway, but we need more ball players. Like the players we've been linked with, we haven't signed anyone yet, but the players we've been linked with, like Ryan Fredericks, who's a good pacey right back. We need another right back.
Yeah, replace Byram.
Because Byram's unreliable, unfortunately. Javier Pastore, he's an attacking player again. He's an exciting possibility of a signing. But they're the right profile of players as well. We need younger, we need more energy in the team, we need more youth in the team.
Yeah, attacking as well, ones that are keen to actually go forwards.
We want players who are comfortable on the ball, which a lot of our players aren't. When things aren't going well.
Yeah.
When things are going well, we're really good.
Yeah,
but
when we panic, it's gone.
It just disintegrates, doesn't it? So, yeah, look, I'm really optimistic.
Me too.
For next season, we'll discuss more in depth before the season starts.
Definitely.
But thanks for your time today.
Thanks
very much. Well, thanks, guys. That's our review of West Ham's season. Let's hope for a better one next season. Thanks very much for watching. Please do subscribe and give us a like if you fancy. Leave us a comment and follow us on Twitter as well. We're at @Goage_football. Great, thanks very much, guys. Take care. See ya.
Bye.